Dr. Katie Woodley, the natural pet doctor, and I'm a holistic veterinarian based in Northern Colorado. And this is a super casual conversation. And however, there's a lot of fear surrounding our pets, COVID. There's more pets that are testing positive as we go week to week. So I'm here to tell you, your pets still do not pass it back to us. There is no evidence of that, which is good. However, we're finding that as we go through this, we can pass it to our pets. So with COVID, so everyone here is more than likely familiar with COVID and the coronavirus. And there's been a couple cats, there's been a couple dogs worldwide. And when we look at the statistics, there's over 3.3 million people have been diagnosed in the US with corona, or sorry, in the world. So that's a lot of people. When we look at like a handful of pets have tested positive, now keeping in mind we're not testing every single pet. There's certain reasons why your veterinarian would test your pet. If your pet is showing symptoms, then they would test. So there are potentially more cases that we don't know because we're not testing, just like there is for people. So that's something to be aware of. However, what's happening is that it's called a reverse zoonosis. And we can get sick and we come into contact with our pets and we potentially can give them coronavirus. Now, dogs don't seem to be really affected by it, which is good. So they can test positive. However, they're not showing symptoms typically. They're not getting sick from it, whereas cats can be more sensitive to the coronaviruses. Last week, we talked about coronaviruses in cats, and cats, there are lots of different types of coronavirus. So when we talk about this one, this is COVID-19. It is a specific strain of that virus. So this one doesn't replicate in dogs readily. In cats, however, we talked about feline infectious peritonitis. So FIP, it's a type of coronavirus. It's been around for a long time, and there's two different types of forms. There's a wet and dry form, and that can make cats really sick. So CSU and other research companies have been working on vaccines for a long time, and they are actually utilizing some of those studies to help develop the vaccine for people for coronavirus. So that's something to be aware of. Like, how do we keep our pets from getting this if we get sick? Because more than likely, all of us at some point are going to come into contact with this, and especially with countries and states reducing the restrictions and allowing people to come out of home quarantine, we're going to come into contact with this. It's inevitable. It has a high rate of infection. It's easily spread. It's spread through respiratory droplets. So when you sneeze or cough, it can potentially spread by like 10 feet. So that's why the whole social distancing is very important, wearing masks, because if I sneeze and I have COVID and my cat is sitting on my lap, that is potentially me giving her that virus. Now, more than likely, she's not going to get sick from it. So those are things that we need to be familiar with and not have fear over, but we need to be smart about our hygiene when you're around your pets, when you're around other people, like wearing a mask, especially if you're sick, because we know then that you have most likely COVID. So you are going to be spreading those viruses. So, hey, Alone at Home Pets RVICU, thanks for tuning in and saying hi. So the biggest thing is when we know if we're unwell, we have symptoms, or we even tested positive, we need to wear a mask. So you need to limit the contact with your pets. Now, what you can do is wearing that mask. So not everyone can have someone else take care of their pets. That's just reality. So wearing a mask, washing your hands before touching your pet, and washing your hands after touching your pet. Because remember, there's other diseases we can get from our pets too. So that isn't coronavirus related. So we just need to be smart about the hygiene and limiting contact if we can. So the other thing is as we go out into the world, right? So who's ready to go back out into the big wide world? Who is sick of being at home? You can do like a thumbs up, hearts, whatever, if you're tired of this whole home quarantine thing. So, because I know it seems like it's Groundhog Day, right? If you've ever seen that movie. And as we go out, so we started doing more house calls and acupunctures this past week and seeing clients, and we have to wear masks, and it's a new reality, and it sucks, but it's necessary. Like, I love seeing people's faces. I love seeing their smiles. I have a lot of facial expressions. So like, people don't see that when I'm talking, and it's hard, and it's hard to not see people's faces. And so the more that we can do to protect ourselves, protect other people from spreading the coronavirus, then we can go back to more of a new normal. There most likely won't be the old normal, but we can get to a place where we don't have to wear masks and we can see people's faces again, which is so big for like connecting with the human race, right? So with your pets, when you're out walking them, make sure you're not letting them touch other people or come into contact. Like, that's big. We don't know who hasn't washed their hands, who is sick, if they like sneezed into their hand and then they pet your dog on a walk. Like, we don't know. So some of the things that you can do too is use the pet wipes to wipe down your pets when they get back home. So that way, if they did come into contact with something, you're hopefully like wiping that virus off. We don't know how well it stays on the fur and how long it lasts on the fur. The fur is actually quite porous, so the virus doesn't survive for a very long time on the fur. But those are things that you can do. Now, there's cases of people using Lysol on their pets. Like, don't do that. Like, you're just going to cause burns and it's going to harm them and hurt them. So definitely don't use Lysol. You want to be careful too with using Lysol on the floors, because your pets are naked. They don't have shoes, they don't have socks, and they walk and they come into contact with whatever cleaning products you've used. And so if, I don't know if that's a sad face for naked pets. So I just saw an emoji pop up, or if it's about cleaning products. But what we can look at, okay, what are some of the safe cleaning products that we can use? I use a lot of essential oils. I love Young Living's Thieves. So it doesn't mean that, you know, you have to use these products, but what are some of the ones that we can use that are more gentle, that our pets won't get sick from coming into contact with? And think about that. Or making sure, you know, the floor is completely dry before our pets walk across the floor, because what do? They walk across something and then they lick their paws. And I love that. Wet wipes with witch hazel. So, you know, get your baby like wet wipes that don't have any chemicals and use witch hazel. That is fantastic. And you can use essential oils on those too. There's all sorts of like homemade things that you can use, which are like really good. And remember, like, sing happy birthday or whatever song you want to do when you're washing your hands, so that way you're washing them for long enough too. So, and those things. And immune system. Who here is optimizing their immune system for yourself and for your pets? Like, I want to see some hearts, because I know all of you guys are into that if you're following me. Like, what are the things that we can do? So ourselves, like, how do we boost our immune health? For one, what are your routines? What are you doing every single day? I talk about this all the time. Like, are you taking care of yourself, or are you just like letting it go to hell? And you're just like sitting around, drinking a bunch of wine, watching Netflix, eating crappy food. Like, that's not going to help your health. So it's okay every now and then. I'm seeing a bunch of hearts, so thank you. So that's something where if we can boost and support our immune health all year round. This is not going away. It is not going away. Yes, I love that. Love using vinegar and water for house cleanup. Perfect. Those are nice, safe, clean products. Baking soda is another one that you can use. Great. So if we're not taking care of ourselves year round, what's going to happen when we come into contact with this thing? Like, say I get on a plane, you know, and you come into contact. If I wasn't taking care of myself, I'm going to get sick. And so vitamin D, most of us are deficient in vitamin D. And so start supplementing it. Get outside, get some sun. But if you're like me and your genetics don't allow you to make vitamin D readily, like, that happens. So start taking your vitamin D supplements. Talk to a nutritionist. See how you can optimize your immune health, so that if you do come into contact, hopefully you don't get really, really sick and get knocked out for weeks and weeks and weeks, or, you know, heaven forbid, have to go to the hospital and be on a ventilator. Yes, turmeric, curcumin. So curcumin or lemon and ginger tea, those are great options. So the thing to keep in mind with turmeric, so this goes along with your pets and your pet health. So a lot of people use turmeric. So turmeric is that yellow spice that we use in like Indian food. So like curries and things like that. And it contains curcumin in it. And that is the compound. These curcuminoids are really powerful for reducing inflammation, boosting health. I use it a lot when I'm treating cancer, and very, very good. Now, the downside is that it's not readily absorbed in the GI tract. And so in certain forms can actually irritate the GI system too. So that's where, if we're not using the right forms in our pets, we can actually cause GI upset. So like diarrhea, vomiting, they go off their food. They're not actually absorbing it. So we're not getting the benefits. And when you use the spice by itself, you have to use such a large amount to get the beneficial properties that it makes it taste awful. Your pet's not going to eat it. You don't want to eat that. Like that doesn't taste that great. And so there's different forms. Some of the curcumin products, they're combined with piperine, so black pepper, to increase absorption. Now in our pets, that can actually irritate the GI lining. So we tend to use forms that are combined with lipids, so your fats, and there's certain ones that make it more bioavailable to the body so that when we're giving it, it's actually working. Because why spend so much, like these products, these supplements, they can be freaking expensive, right? So, and if we're giving something and we don't know it's working, why are we spending so much money and going through that whole process, right? So definitely keep that in mind. So your curcumin is great for adding in for us, for our pets, to help with their immune health, inflammation. Ginger tea, love ginger tea. It's so good for your digestion. And what's really neat about tea, so we, like last month, we talked all about like stress and anxiety, is you can use teas. Like you can put tea in your pet's food. Like it's a great way to help calm them down. So who here has been feeling anxious, like or had more stress or felt crazy this past month? Like teas are a great option for you to brew a cup of tea for yourself, brew a cup of tea for your pet, and put it in the food. So like a small dog, you know, start with like a quarter cup. A medium-sized dog, so like 30, 40 pounds, do a half cup. And then a larger breed dog, so like your German Shepherds, your 75-pound dogs, do a cup of tea, and you can always divide it. And great teas that you can use to help calm yourself down are calming teas. So lavender, chamomile, those are really good and they're really safe. So great question, which teas are safe for my dogs? So I go for organic, so your human organic brands, because we don't want to add in any pesticides, because that's we're putting chemicals into their body. That's not helping their immune system. Pesticides have been associated through all sorts of studies with cancer, like Roundup and brain tumors. It can create autoimmune diseases. I mean, we're seeing 60% of our pets develop cancer. No, it's not good. So this month is Pet Cancer Awareness Month. We are going to be talking all about cancer because we need to put an end to these crazy high rates. So love that. Lavender clipping around the house to keep the household calm. Yes, I love lavender and it's so easy to grow. So we're in Colorado and oh my gosh, we can grow lavender here. Like it's so hard to grow things. When I lived in New Zealand, it was so easy. I could just put like something in the ground and it would like blossom. So definitely like what herbs, what things can you put in your garden as we go into spring and summer that you can easily grow or grow inside? That's fantastic. So yes, Susie, I love it. Natasha loves her cup of tea with me in the morning. It's like a bonding experience, right, Susie? Like we all get to chill out together, which is great. Steep is an excellent brand of tea. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. And so where was I going with that, right? I get all excited because we need to like support our pets, right? Who here wants to have a pet live as long as possible, free of disease, and just be vibrant until the end? Like that is always my goal for the patients I treat, for my own pets. And the thing to keep in mind too is we can do everything right, they can still get sick. And that's something where when that happens, I think about, my gosh, what would have happened if we hadn't done all those things right? So like, it sucks when we have pets that have cancer. Like, I know if you've been following my story, I've had 3 pets with cancer. Finn, our shepherd, passed away last month, and it was awful. However, he wouldn't have been here for as long, thriving, if we didn't optimize everything that we did. So yes, balanced pet vet, you pour it over their food. So I just take the water, I brew a cup of tea, and pour it right in. Super, super easy. And the other thing is, so allergy season, right? So that's the other thing we're getting into, crazy itchy pets. So green tea is great also for using for allergies, inflammation, cancer prevention. It's just like us. There's lots of antioxidants. And so, however, if you have a crazy dog who here has a super energetic, high energy dog, and you're like, you know, Dr. Katie, that sounds like there's caffeine in that. So what's going to happen to my pet? Is that safe? Like, you're crazy. So what you can do is you can actually cold brew it. So you take the tea bag, put it in a cup of water overnight, and pull the tea bag out, and you're going to have so much less caffeine going in there. So if you're finding like your pet's crazy and you're like, I don't want to put more in there, you can cold brew it. So definitely try that out, especially as we go into, if your pet has allergies. Chamomile tea is fantastic too. Green tea is fantastic. Black tea is fantastic to use topically if you've got red spots, itchy spots. So those are really, really good. Someone just asked, I think, what food is best? That's a great question. And that's a conversation that's going to take a while. So, so what I say, this is my short answer for what food is best, because food is foundation for health. I say it all the time. It's kind of like a tagline. It is the foundation. We are what we eat. So what you can do is, when we think about food, is we think about, okay, what is biologically appropriate? So let's think about cats, right? So what do most cats get? They get dry food, right? It's easy. We can give them kibble. They just munch and eat it, which is, you know, super easy. However, what is the majority of dry food? It's a high carbohydrate. What are cats? They're obligate carnivores. What does that mean? That means that they need meat. So we need to transition cats onto either a wet food or a raw diet if they can tolerate it. Now, there's ways to do that safely, and each pet is individual. And as I'm finding out with the 2 senior cats that we just adopted, they're addicted to carbohydrates. That happens. And unfortunately, my 2 kitties are addicted to carbs. So we went from feeding a prescription diet, and we're transitioning over to, I feel like it's a higher quality diet because it doesn't have like corn as the #1 ingredient. So you can transition them to at least having a better diet to eat, so you know that it's supporting their health better. Raw versus cooked depends on the pet. So I have, especially seeing like dogs and transitioning dogs, a lot of dogs do fantastic with raw diets. And when we think about it, if it's a balanced raw diet, so we're incorporating bones, meats, organ meats, and it's balanced, that's the key. We can't just put meat down and expect it to be balanced. They're going to do really well with it. But what I find is, a lot of times I get pets that have leaky gut or inflammation in their GI tract. And so their guts are trashed from whatever, like there's multiple reasons for that to happen. And sometimes what we have to do is a really slow transition while we're building up their GI health with things like probiotics, other supplements. I use a lot of Chinese medicine to rebalance the body and help with those imbalances. So there is a process. I would never recommend just going straight from kibble to raw, because a lot of times what we'll see is diarrhea, vomiting. And then you take them to the vet, and if you see a conventional vet, they're like, well, you gave raw. Like, of course, they're sick from that. So, but it's not. They don't get salmonella poisoning. Their stomach acid is a lot higher than ours. They break down these things, but it's because their microbiome, so the good bacteria that's supposed to be in their gut, is off. And so they're not ready to be able to transition onto that food. So keep that in mind. A good way to kind of transition if you're on a kibble diet is to go from kibble to either like You can go to home cooked. We did home cooked for Finn and sometimes raw, but mainly like a balanced home cooked diet. And then you could always do a dehydrated raw and transition over and do it very slowly. So for cats, what I would say is, especially if you have a cat that's been on kibble their whole life, they may not know what real food is, and they may not like the real food just because they're not used to it. So it can be a lot longer transition. Like I see my cats are starting to like some of the, like I put some like raw down for them and some canned to see what like what flavors they like. They like chicken. So, and they prefer the kibble, but we'll slowly transition them, and it's probably going to take months. Like realistically, like it's slow and it's frustrating for me because I just see them eating kibble and I'm like, ugh. But you have to be careful because some cats will like starve themselves. So slow transitions, work with someone if you need help transitioning them. You can always reach out to me. I do nutritional consults. But definitely if we can get your pets off of kibble, it's ideal. Not everyone can, and there's better brands out there that can help. Stella and Chewy's is a good one. We're actually using that for the kibble for my cats. They have dog brands too. So there's a lot of good brands out there. Going back to teas and soaking. So yes, Balanced Pet Vet. So what we can do is you can actually take the tea bags and you can put them topically on the sores and it can help. Or you can do a wet wash or like a washcloth, dip it, like soak it in the tea and then wipe them down with it. The other thing I love, so just on allergies, skin sores, healing naturally, like that's what it's all about. If we can avoid like antibiotics that affect the microbiome, that's going to reduce the immune system. That's going to affect your pet long term. Like, so if we can avoid conventional meds, sometimes we have to use them. So I'm not saying they're bad, but if we can use the other things first to see if we can get rid of infections or disease, why not, right? We boost their immune system. So with sores and allergy season, Manuka honey, people, this is like, I love Manuka honey. I was introduced to it in New Zealand because that's where the plant is native to New Zealand, and it smells amazing. And has so many medicinal properties. So there's so many studies now with like helping to heal burns, and it works against resistant bacteria like staph infections. And the amount of healing I've seen in pets where they've had these sores that just wouldn't heal. So the thing with Manuka honey, what you'll find, so if you just like type in Manuka honey into Google, it's like the Wild West out there. I talk about that with like CBD. We're not going to get into that, but there's so many products out there, and they're charging a lot because people know, like you put Manuka honey on this, and like the Manuka honey may not be the best quality. Or what you want to look for when you are getting Manuka honey is the UMF factor. And if you can purchase the highest UMF factor that you can physically, like it gets more expensive, but those have more medicinal properties. They're going to have more therapeutic effects, and you're going to see better results with the higher UMF factor. So that's where you're going to actually just slather Manuka honey on. It can make a big mess. There is my disclaimer. Be a big mess. Your pet might lick it off. But the good thing is versus licking off triple antibiotic ointment or Manuka honey, I would rather my pet eat Manuka honey. So that's kind of my disclaimer there. In terms of other things, so talking about boosting immune system, cancer prevention, nutrition. So look at the food. What supplements are they taking? What is the stress level? So those three things are going to be kind of like your trifecta. Like, what is the stress level in the house? Are we all controlling our stress level? Are we feeding our bodies the right nutrition? Are we feeding our pets' bodies the right nutrition? And then where can we fill in the gaps with appropriate supplements? So I find a lot of people, and this has actually happened this past week, is especially with cancer, right? If you've ever had a pet with cancer, and I know this personally, is you feel like you've lost all hope, right? Like you're like, oh my God, what do I do? And especially like for Finn's case, he had a brain tumor and he started having seizures. And we were told there's nothing else you can do other than radiation and brain surgery. And this dog was 11 and a half years old, like older German Shepherd. He was doing great. And I'm like, I'm not doing brain surgery on my dog at this age. And I'm not going to sedate, anesthetize him daily for, you know, a couple weeks to have radiation to not really gain that much time. And so I weighed it up, and it's okay if you decide to do those things. But for us and our family, it's like, nope, we're not going to do that. And that's okay. So he was put on prednisone and seizure medications, and he tanked. He did awful. Couldn't stand, was drinking a ton, had issues peeing because he had some other issues before this, and vomiting, diarrhea, wouldn't eat. And I'm like, nope, we're not doing this. And so thank goodness I had the ability to do holistic medicine with him. So like Chinese, I was like, nope, we're going to do Chinese herbs. We're going to do acupuncture. It's going to go on CBD. And we're going to change some of the foods to use food as therapy because foods have energy also. And we tweaked all of that. And the neurologist told me, good luck. There's nothing, you can see this crazy cat behind me. There's nothing else like you can do. Good luck. You have a few weeks. That's what we were told. Talk about losing hope, right? I mean, I was like, great. Like, that's awesome. So how many of you, like, how many people here have ever heard that? Like, there's nothing else you can do. Good luck. I'm like, what the heck? Like, that's why I became a holistic vet. Like, I was tired of telling people that. I was like, there's got to be another way that we can help pets so that they can live longer lives. There's got to be another way. And so when we look at like helping these animals, like the supplements, going back to, okay, Finn, I can understand the like lack of hope. The thing is that most people, we need to feel in control. We need to feel like we're doing something. So what do? We go out and we buy like 15 supplements, right? We go online, we go on Google, and we're like, oh, okay, I need to give this, this, and this. They need, you know, oh my gosh, there's like so many, right? It's so confusing and hard navigating that space. And so the biggest thing is though, is that we can over supplement and we can actually like harm our pets more. So if you're in that space, try to find a holistic veterinarian that's near you that can do house calls. If you can't have that, find someone that can do phone consultations, like is your next best thing, because you don't want to waste all the money on bad supplements and things that aren't going to work. I think that happens over and over and over again, but it's because you're trying to figure out, how do I do this? I'm alone. My conventional vet like said, there's nothing more we can do. And so I totally understand, like we've got to do something to help like our beloved pet. We're watching them suffer, but keep in mind, we can always over supplement, and the internet can be a hard place to go to because everything can fix everything, right? So we want to give everything, but that's not always the right answer. So that's where, if you're feeling like that, or you have a pet that needs extra help, go to the American Holistic Veterinary Medical Association website. So AHVMA, I think it's .org. But if you look up that, you can search for holistic vets in your area for acupuncture, herbal medicine, for whatever, homeopathy, if that's like the modality you want to go with, and you can reach out to them. And it's an easier way to find the holistic vets that are few and far between out there to help you with your pet. I always say prevention is better than cure. And so if we can take the steps now to help our pets live a happy and healthy life, we're going to reduce the risk of illness. We're going to reduce the risk of disease. We're going to reduce the risk of them getting coronavirus. And then if we're doing the same for ourselves, we're going to boost our immune system. We're going to help optimize our immune health. And we're going to be able to overcome this thing because we're happier, we're healthier, we're less stressed, and we're able to get over a disease faster. Doesn't mean that you're not going to contract it, but what we hope for is that you just get like mild like flu symptoms, right? Like you're just kind of like, oh, I don't feel good, and it lasts like 3 days, and then you're like, I'm back, because your immune system's like, girl, we got this. So those are things to keep in mind, like when we're looking at what can we do. So that was a bit of a random like COVID critters and coffee, but I hope you guys like some of the little tidbits thrown in there about food, supplements, teas, talking a little bit about allergy stuff, because those are all things that, you know, we're going to be coming into contact with. So if you want more information and you're not already following us, you haven't liked our page, make sure you like it, follow, share it. share it with your fellow pet people, your pet friends, your family, anyone who needs extra help. We do a lot of free talks. We do a lot of free advice. Check out our website at thenaturalpetdoctor.com. Check out our blog posts. If you want videos, go to YouTube. We've got free videos there also. We also have a pet membership. So we have a 2-week free trial to our Healthy Paws membership, where all of our videos that we do monthly go in there for you to rewatch whenever you want. So, and there's also extra benefits too with some of the other memberships we have, where you get specials on your consultations. You get extra one-on-one time with me each month. So if that's something you're looking for and craving for, definitely check it out. Check out our website. If you need to book a consult, you can do that there. I'd love to partner with you guys and keep being awesome, keep being amazing pet parents and advocates for your pet's health. And remember, don't neglect your own health too, because we need that so that we can take care of our own pets. So thank you for joining us. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and stay tuned. We'll be back next Saturday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Hey pet parents, it's Dr. Katie. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, can you do me 2 simple favors? Number 1, share it with someone else. And number 2, subscribe to this channel by clicking down below so you can continue to get updates every time I release new videos to help your pet thrive. Also, if you're wondering how your pet can achieve optimal health and listening to our videos made you wonder if this can work for your pet, we have an amazing membership site that can really help your pet thrive naturally by being a part of our incredible community of pet parents like yourself. Maybe you're here because you're tired of not having other options to help your pet live their best life and feel amazing. Or maybe you're here because you feel alone in figuring out how to help your pet holistically. Let's partner together today and take the worry out of caring for your pet so you have many more days to share the joy and love with them. Click the link below to grab a 2-week free trial on our Healthy Paws membership. Look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until then, remember you're not alone in helping your pet thrive naturally and live each day to their fullest potential.